Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to have you here with us at Somaliland National Television. I'm Mohammed Aden here with the English news. Let's take a look at the main stories making headlines. House of Elders debate the current inflation in Somaliland and the commodity prices going up. Members of Parliament depart from Egal International Airport en route to Addis Ababa for a working trip. Historic US-Cuba talks between Obama and Castro. The Somaliland House of Elders debated issues regarding the commodity prices going up in the local markets, as well as the increase in US dollar against the Somaliland currency, and urged the government to further boost its efforts at improving the economy. Parliamentarians who were present at today's session reiterated that it is a necessity to take stands in ensuring that all citizens encourage using the Somaliland shillings in all transactions ongoing in the local markets. The session was chaired by the Deputy Speaker Saeed Jama Ali, who made the opening speech at this assembly, informing present members of the Parliament that inflation and the other factors that had boosted will be discussed to imbue the gap between rich and poor. Within the previous sessions, the House of Elders debated several other issues, including improvements made by the interior and foreign policies of Somaliland, during which they expressed thanks to the government for the efforts it exerted in amplifying progress on a number of key sectors. Speaking during the session, parliamentarian Abdul Qadir Indo hailed the government's steps on the economic development as helpful to ensure economic progress, and reiterated that there have been significant challenges, including the prices of goods going day by day up, which is supposed to be tackled. Members of Parliament, cabinet members, as well as directors of several ministries have today departed from Egal International Airport in Hargeisa, heading to the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa, where they will be holding talks with the Ethiopian government officials. Speaker of Parliament Abdurrahman Abdullah Ero, speaking at Egal International Airport in Hargeisa, told media that the visit to Ethiopia is one of understanding how the parliaments of other countries work. Ero said that they will also be visiting Ethiopia for a working trip, which includes taking training as well as holding meetings with key Ethiopian government officials and AU officials in Addis Ababa to discuss Somaliland's quest for international recognition. Other government officials and parliament members who were part of the Somaliland delegation departed from Egal International Airport stated that their visit is official, invited by the Ethiopian government. Minister of Fisheries and other ministerial officials have today welcomed the Vice Minister Mohammed Haji Aden Ilmi, who returned to Somaliland from a working trip to various overseas nations. Minister of Fisheries Ali Jama Farah Bured, speaking at the event, informed about the working visit that the Vice Minister has been paying to several overseas nations to gain experience on fisheries and how resources can be utilized. The Vice Minister spoke at the event and appreciated the warm welcome he received upon his arrival in Hargeisa from ministerial officials and employees, pledging to further work in ensuring that the ministry reaches progress in utilizing Somaliland's aquatic resources for the benefit of citizens. The Vice Minister informed about the countries he visited and reiterated the experience he gained during his visit to several industrial sites. Other keynote speakers at the event commended efforts of the Vice Minister. You're still watching the English news on Somaliland National Television, the first Somali-speaking channel within English news, and now for the main international headlines in detail. Presidents Barack Obama and Raul Castro have made history by holding the first formal face-to-face talks between leaders of the United States and Cuba in over half a century. Meeting at the Summit of the Americas in Panama, they agreed to press ahead with improving relations after decades of hostility. Key differences remain, but the focus is now on the future. My message here is that the Cold War is over, Obama told reporters after the meeting. I think we have to be very clear, Cuba is not a threat to the United States. He also stressed, we're not in the business of regime change. We are in the business of making sure that the Cuban people have freedom and the ability to participate and shape their own destiny and their own lives, and supporting civil society. At the 80 minutes meeting on Saturday, Obama and Castro sat side by side in polished wooden chairs in a small conference room. The mood was cordial but businesslike. Both wore dark suits and each nodded and smiled at some of the comments made by the other in a brief statement to reporters before they began their talks. Obama said later, "We have very different views of how society should be organized, and I was very direct with him that we are not going to stop talking about issues like democracy and human rights and freedom of assembly and freedom of the press." Castro condemned past U.S. attempts to topple communist rule on Cuba, but said he was open to discussing human rights, and he praised Obama, calling him an honest man. The United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, said on Saturday it had not received a formal request from Kenya to remove a huge refugee camp housing hundreds of thousands of people from Somalia. Earlier, Deputy President William Ruto said, unless the UNHCR in Kenya relocated the remote Dadaab settlement near the Somali border, then the authorities in Nairobi would do themselves. In the past, the Kenyan authorities have accused Islamist militants of hiding out in the camp. Covering more than 50 square kilometers, Dadaab is home to people who had fled several East African conflicts, including Somalia's civil war. It lies only an hour drive from Garissa, scene of the recent university massacre in which 148 people were killed by Somali gunmen from Al-Shabaab. Ruto says the way America changed after 9/11 is the way Kenya will change after Garissa. Kenya and Somalia have an agreement to work towards the voluntary repatriation of Somali refugees to areas considered safe. Kenyans continue to be reminded of the university attack with the vigils and funerals for the victims. One expert, Macharia Moon, a professor of international relations at EU Africa, told Reuters the logistics of moving such a large number of refugees would be a total order. But he added that Kenya was in an emergency situation and each country had to look after its people first. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. Catch us at the same time tomorrow. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.